Welcome back. All right, now that I have returned home from the play-on tournament, which was fun to watch, I hope to participate next year. But that being said, I now want to preview the Anaheim Ducks, and this is the jersey I was wearing when I went down there, so I thought, no, I'll just leave it on. So the Anaheim Ducks, a team that have been in a rebuild for a while, and for Ducks fans, the patience for this rebuild to finally finish. Likely wearing thin. I would think wearing a little bit thin, and fans want to see some progression this year. The good news is, I think we're going to get that. It's going to rely on some rookies. It's going to rely on some bounce backs, but if everything falls their way, the Ducks should be a lot better this year. I don't expect playoffs. The channel doesn't expect playoffs, but I do expect an improved performance. So, looking at their numbers since 2014-2015, their top 10 scorers, their 5 winningest goalies. Most of the top 10 scorers are out. Some of them are still there. Ryan Getzlaf leads the way, though. 568 games, 111 goals, 346 assists, 457 points. Jacob Silverberg, 764 games, 162 goals, 208 assists for 370 points. Cam Fowler, 745 games played, 79 goals, 280 assists, 359 points. Very underrated defenseman, having played in Anaheim for as long as he has. He's been quite solid. Rickard Rakell, 570 games, 164 goals, 188 assists for 352 points as a Duck. Adam Henrique, 439 games played, 135 goals, 129 assists, 264 points. Corey Perry, 377 games, 123 goals, 139 assists for 262 points. Troy Terry, first player who is still a member of the team, of course, 350 games, 95 goals, 135 assists, 230 points. He'll be getting that 100th goal pretty early in the season this year. Hampus Lindholm, 548 games, 55 goals, 158 assists, 211 points. Ryan Kessler's on the board, 390 games, 88 goals, 119 assists for 207 points. And Andrew Cogliano, 416 games, 62 goals, 97 assists for 159 points. Now, we get into the top 5 goaltenders, it's really John Gibson and everybody else. Gibson's had a record of 190 wins, 206 regulation losses, and 61 losses in extra time via shootout or overtime. Freddie Anderson second on the list with a record of 57, 21, and 12. Ryan Miller, 33, 27, and 14. Jonathan Bernier, 21, 7, and 4. And Anthony Stolarz, 21, 18, and 3. Very soon, we will have Lucas Dostal on that list. He's just not there quite yet. So the last 5 seasons show you the picture that the Anaheim Ducks are going to be looking to change this year, and the change of jersey should help too. That's the reason I have the Mighty Ducks logo there, and I have the Mighty Ducks, the throwback style 30th anniversary jersey here. So in points percentage over the last 5 years, they're 31st in the league with a 406 points percentage, ahead of only San Jose in that category. Goals for, they're 32nd, dead last in the NHL, averaging 2.53 goals for per game. Goals against per game, they're 31st with a 3.47 value. Their power play has been not great, 16.6%, which is 31st. And their penalty kill, pretty bad, 75.7%, which is dead last, again 32nd amongst the 32 franchises. This past season, some mild improvement here and there. 360 points percentage was 30th overall in the NHL. So they're not quite at that 31st level, but yeah, their points percentage wasn't great. Their goals for per game, 30th at 2.48 goals per game. Their goals against, 30th at 3.57 goals against per game. But their power play, some mild improvement there, 17.9% up to 25th overall. Their penalty kill remains a work in progress, 72.4% or 31st overall. But again, when you've got a lot of young players, especially on the blue line, and the goaltending hasn't been fantastic, you're going to see your special teams numbers suffer. Now, their top 10 scorers this past season, Frank Vatrano, 82 games, 37 goals, 23 assists, 60 points. He opted to stay there. Troy Terry, 76 games, 20 goals, 34 assists, 54 points. I think Terry's capable of 70-plus points. I do. Maybe he gets back there. Mason McTavish, finding his game would help. 64 games, 19 goals, 23 assists, 42 points. Respectable numbers, but McTavish is capable of more. Adam Henrique, 60 games, 18 goals, 24 assists, 42 points before he was traded to Edmonton. Ryan Strome, 79 games, 11 goals, 30 assists, 41 points. Cam Fowler, 81 games, 5 goals, 34 assists, 39 points. Alex Killorn, 63 games, 18 goals, 18 assists, 36 points. Leo Carlsson, they did load management with him in his first season. He plays 55 games in total, 12 goals, 17 assists, 29 points. Don't let the numbers fool you. Leo Carlsson had a very good rookie season when he was in the lineup, and I would expect his numbers to probably at least double this season if he plays 82 games. I would say 56 points. Reasonable expectation there. Pavel Mintyukov, 63 games, 4 goals, 24 assists, 28 points. Part of a young blue line this past season, but getting a lot of important experience. And Brett Leeson, 68 games, 11 goals, 11 assists, 22 points. Their top 2 goaltenders, easy, because only Dostal and Gibson played for him. Dostal was 14, 33, and 3, 902 save percentage. Gibson 13, 27, and 2 with an 888 save percentage. And of course, last season, before it even started, there was all this talk about Gibson wants out and he wants to get traded. That talk has not been nearly as noisy this offseason as it was last offseason. And it feels like with that 888 save percentage, A, he's the backup at this point to Dostal. And in my opinion, Dostal's the better of the 2 goaltenders. But B, that does make it very, very difficult to trade him. So he's going to have to bring his numbers up if, in fact, he still would like to get a move out of Anaheim. Your rookie watch, Cutter Gauthier is obviously one to keep an eye on. They traded out Jamie Drysdale to pick up Gauthier, and we'll see how it goes. Gauthier, of course, out of Philadelphia, and it should be interesting to see if he's in Anaheim's lineup when they play against Philadelphia in Philadelphia this year, how that goes. Tristan Luneau, I think, is one to watch too. Even though he may not start the season in their top 6, in the event of injury, he may be the first one to jump in. He's seen as being a pretty solid prospect. Singular. He's not multiple people. Top 12 forwards. Cutter Gauthier, I think you at least should start him on the top line, see how it goes. I would say a line of Cutter Gauthier, Leo Carlsson, and Troy Terry. Could be some dynamic offense there again. Terry's numbers could come up if he's playing with better line mates. That would put Killorn with Zegras and Vetrano on the second line. One of the key items for the Anaheim Ducks this year, key item to their success, is the health of Trevor Zegras. The ability of Trevor Zegras to get back to where he was offensively a couple seasons ago. We know he can perform the fancy moves out there. We know what he can do with the puck, but he needs to have that go in the net a little bit more. And when I've talked about his numbers, people will point out, hey, analytically, he was pretty good. All right, well, the analytics and then the normal stats have to match up here. We need just that little bit more from Zegras. And if he's playing with Vetrano and Killorn, those are both guys who can put the puck in the net. Zegras, we know, can do those fancy passes. If he can do the normal and the fancy passes and get those points, who knows what might happen this year for Zegras. So that brings us to the third line, where you may have Robbie Fabry, who they added in the offseason. Fabry, of course, you want him to stay healthy. That's the key thing with him. Mason McTavish. So if McTavish is on the third line, that may restrict his production a bit, but you're going to have him on the power play, so he may still get those power play points. And Ryan Strome. So what you have here for the Ducks, if this is how the lines work, and if the rookies hit, and if, rookie being Gauthier, and if Zegras can get back to where we want him to be offensively, you might have 3 scoring lines for Anaheim. I don't know that we've seen that for years now. Brock McGinn, Isaac Lindstrom, and Brett Leeson may end up being that fourth line. I like Lindstrom. I think there's a little bit of offense there too, so we shall see. Which leaves us with some extras. Nikita Nesterenko, Nathan Gauthier, Jansen Harkins. We know he's a farmhand who can pass through waivers for the most part, and he can also jump in a fourth line role here and there. Jan Mysak, Ross Johnston, tough player. Pavel Regenda, Carson Mayer, who was added in the offseason, Sam Colangelo, and Beckett Seneca. I don't think Seneca makes the team this year. He doesn't need to. And this is one of the benefits with Anaheim and the way this lineup's made up. Seneca, who was drafted earlier than I think any of us expected, can come into camp, do well, and end up getting some more time to develop, while guys like Gauthier are getting that chance to show what they can do on a top line this season, very likely. At the least for Gauthier, top 6, maybe that top line. Then you get to the blue line, and there's some interesting options here for Anaheim, a team that is definitely deep when it comes to young defensemen. This is why you're able to trade a Jamie Drysdale, right? So Cam Fowler, Pavel Mintyukov, Brian Dumoulin brought in. That's a pretty good move by them, bringing in Dumoulin, an experienced defenseman. Radko Gudas, who was excellent for them this past season. Jackson Lacombe, Olin Zellweger. Zellweger, a lot of upside there on the blue line. And then you've got Eero Vakanainen, who may very well be the number 7 this season. Tristan Luneau, who I mentioned before, maybe he's that first call-up. And Drew Helleson there as well. And there are a few other young players who may end up getting some time with the Anaheim Ducks this year. But again, it feels like this team should start to see some kind of upward momentum. They shouldn't have a 360 points percentage. I would say 450, maybe. Maybe they can get to a 500 record. Early this past season, they looked pretty good, and then they just remember they were the Ducks, is the way I kept putting it. Their top 2 goalies this year are John Gibson and Lukas Dostal. Yet again, the expectation I would have is that Gibson's name will continue to come up as a possible trade target during the season. But at this stage, it looks like he's at least going to start the season in Anaheim. They've got Calle Klang. They've got Thomas Suhanik as well in the AHL. Maybe Suhanik comes up and gets some games in the event of an injury to one of their goaltenders. But they're in pretty good shape. And one reason that they're in pretty good shape, they have $21,718,333 in cap space, according to Puckpedia. That's a lot of cap space. So this is a team to keep an eye on for when a team needs to get rid of a contract. Anaheim may very well be a team that is able to take on a contract that another team wants to get rid of. Think along the same lines as how they get Brian Dumoulin into their lineup, right? So maybe a forward, maybe a bottom 6 player, maybe another defenseman. We'll see what they do. I think they're probably largely done going into this upcoming season, but it's hard to say because we do get those surprise trades in late August and in September as well. The schedule, they start out with 7 out of 10 in October on the road, but November's friendly to them, 9 out of 12 at home. So there's the possibility, especially with a 6-game homestand during that month of November, maybe they can build up some wins and keep themselves at or maybe a little bit above the 500 mark there to keep themselves in the mix and to get these guys some experience and maybe a little bit of confidence too. February, they have 2 at home, they have 1 away from home, and then there's the Four Nations Cup. They have 3 away from home and 1 at home. I did look because in February there's the possibility during Four Nations that I go down to Anaheim because of course, but they're not going to be playing a home game during the period of time that we would be down there in the event that we do take a trip in that direction, so I won't be able to see a game while I'm down there necessarily. April, they have 4 out of 9 at home. And 3 of their last 4 games are on the road. So the schedule, not great for them down the stretch. But again, the expectation with the Ducks that they will not be a playoff team this year. Their current Stanley Cup odds plus $40,000, which is the same odds as the San Jose Sharks are being given. I think the Ducks are going to be better than the Sharks. I think the Ducks might be better than what people are giving them credit for because again, I do think they can roll 3 scoring lines. I think they're top 4 on the blue line. While it's not flashy, I think they can keep the puck out of their net a little bit better than they did this past season. I do have questions when it comes to Gibson, but Dostal looks quite good, and he's a young goaltender. So the channel vote went thusly. 2% of the channel said that the Ducks would finish first in the division. I can only assume these people read it wrong or just thought, you know what, I'm tired of seeing polls. I'm going to intentionally vote for the one that I know isn't going to happen. Although it could be too that 2% that in the event that this team does finish first or second in the division, they could go, I knew. 5% of the vote said third or fourth in the division. 37% said fifth or sixth. I like the optimism. And 56% said 7th or 8th in the division. That's with a little over 16,000 votes in that poll. So this definitely looks like a team that's still in a rebuild, but they're starting to get their way out of that rebuild. So my question for people watching this is, what do you expect from the Ducks this year? More points, around the same? And Trevor Zegras, does he stay in Anaheim for 1? Because his name keeps coming up. I don't think he's going anywhere, but we'll see. And 2, in the event that he stays in Anaheim, what kind of point totals can we expect from him? Can he get to 65? Could he get to 80? Could this be a season where Zegras shakes off the shackles of being injured all the time and finally becomes that star player that we've been expecting for a while now? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.